Imagine a battery so flexible it can act like two power sources in one, shifting seamlessly between high-speed bursts and long-distance endurance. It's not science fiction. It's CATL's latest innovation, the Freevoy Dual-Power Battery, a potential game-changer for the electric vehicle industry. But CATL, the world's largest EV battery manufacturer, believes it has solved this problem with a design that some are calling the Rubik's Cube of EV batteries. So, what makes the Freevoy Dual-Power Battery different? Unlike conventional batteries, which store and release power in a uniform way, Freevoy uses a dual chemistry system. Think of it as having two energy personalities inside the same battery pack. High power mode, delivering explosive bursts of energy for acceleration, climbing steep hills, or high-performance driving. Endurance mode, optimizing efficiency, conserving power, and extending range for long journeys. The battery can intelligently switch between these two modes, almost like your EV is carrying two batteries in one. This flexibility means automakers won't have to design cars that sacrifice speed for range or range for speed. They can have both. The implications go far beyond just making EVs faster or more efficient. Design freedom for automakers. Car companies can build vehicles that cater to different driving needs without swapping battery packs. Energy efficiency. Smarter energy management means less wasted power. Sustainability. More efficient batteries reduce the pressure on raw material mining and improve the overall carbon footprint of EV production. If widely adopted, Freevoy could set a new global standard for electric mobility, reshaping not just how cars are made, but how we think about energy itself. We may be looking at the dawn of a new battery era, one where EVs no longer have to choose between power and endurance, but can thrive with both. So here's the question. Backhand index pointing right. If every EV had a battery like Freevoy, would you finally consider switching from gas to electric? But here's where things get even more fascinating. CATL isn't just building another EV battery. They're reshaping the strategic battlefield of global energy. Why? Because whoever controls the next generation of battery technology essentially controls the future of transportation, energy storage, and even national security. Tesla has long been the symbol of EV innovation, but with Freevoy, CATL is positioning itself as the undisputed powerhouse in the global battery industry. And it's not just about cars. Think electric planes, grid-scale storage, and even military applications. The Freevoy's adaptability could allow EVs to travel longer distances on fewer charging stops, transforming road trips, commercial fleets, and even public transportation. Imagine buses that last all day on a single charge, or delivery trucks that can balance performance and efficiency depending on the route. But with every breakthrough comes competition and questions. Will Tesla respond with a new battery of its own? Can Western automakers reduce their dependence on CATL, or will China cement its dominance in the EV supply chain? And perhaps the biggest question of all, how soon can this technology scale for the mass market? The Freevoy is not just an invention, it's a signal that the EV race is entering its next phase, where software-driven intelligence inside the battery could matter just as much as horsepower or range. We're no longer just talking about batteries as static boxes of energy. We're talking about living, adaptable systems that can think, switch, and optimize in real time. This is the future of energy on wheels. And here's where things start to get even more intense. Behind the scenes, automakers across the globe are quietly watching CATL's every move. The Freevoy is more than just a technical leap. It's a strategic lever. If CATL can mass-produce this battery at scale, it won't just be supplying power to EVs. It will be holding the keys to the global clean energy transition. Already, whispers from the industry suggest that European manufacturers are exploring partnerships, while American automakers are scrambling to secure alternative suppliers. The concern is simple. A world dependent on a single battery giant could create new vulnerabilities, economic, geopolitical, and even technological. But CATL seems unfazed. Their vision goes beyond car batteries. Analysts believe the Freevoy could be adapted for aviation, shipping, and even smart grids. Imagine entire cities powered by dual-mode batteries, switching between high output during peak demand and endurance mode at night to conserve energy. That's when we begin to realize this isn't just about cars. It's about how humanity will store and use energy in the 21st century. And yet, one critical question looms. Can CATL overcome the biggest barrier in the EV world, cost? Because even the most advanced battery won't change the game if the average consumer can't afford it. And that brings us to the heart of the challenge: affordability. For decades, the holy grail of the EV industry has been a battery that balances performance, endurance, and price. CATL's Freevoy Dual-Power design clearly nails the first two, but the third remains uncertain. Industry insiders hint that CATL is aggressively working on new manufacturing techniques, automation, vertical integration, and innovative supply chain deals to drive costs down. But here's the twist. Materials like lithium, nickel, and cobalt are already under immense pressure. Mining them is not only expensive, but also geopolitically complicated. That's why whispers are growing louder about CATL exploring alternative chemistries, potentially shifting away from scarce metals towards sodium-ion and hybrid solutions. If that turns out to be true, Freevoy could become more than just a dual-power battery. It could become the template for low-cost, mass-market electrification. Meanwhile, governments are watching closely. Washington, Brussels, and Tokyo all understand that the future of national competitiveness is tied to battery dominance. Subsidies, trade restrictions, and new research programs are being deployed at record speed. The EV race has officially become a battery arms race. And right in the middle of it, CATL sits with the Freevoy, drawing both admiration and unease. Because if CATL can scale this technology affordably, the balance of power in the global auto industry may shift permanently. And yet, there's another layer to this story, a quieter, less visible one. It's not just automakers or governments that stand to be disrupted. It's the entire oil and gas industry. Because here's the hidden truth. Every leap in battery innovation doesn't just shake up automakers. It shakes up entire energy markets. For over a century, the world has been wired to run on oil. Gasoline wasn't just fuel. It was a geopolitical weapon, an economic backbone, and a trillion-dollar industry. But if CATL's Freevoy delivers on its promise, it could accelerate a historic collapse in oil demand. Think about it. Long-haul trucks running all day without diesel. City buses ditching gasoline entirely. Consumer EVs doubling their efficiency, making gas-powered cars look ancient. For big oil, this isn't just competition. It's existential. And that's why Freevoy is more than a battery. It's a disruptor of entire global systems. Because if CATL holds a crown for battery supremacy, how will Tesla, Toyota, BYD, and the rest fight to stay relevant? Because as much as Freevoy threatens big oil, it's the automotive giants who feel the pressure most urgently. Tesla, long considered the king of EV innovation, now faces a rival that doesn't just make cars. It supplies the very lifeblood of the EV industry, batteries. Elon Musk's company has its own advances, like the 4680 cell design, but Freevoy's dual power flexibility could put Tesla on the defensive. Meanwhile, Toyota, often criticized for dragging its feet on full EV adoption, might see this as its chance to leapfrog competitors. A dual-mode battery perfectly aligns with Toyota's engineering philosophy of efficiency and adaptability. Imagine a Prius successor running on Freevoy tech, capable of blistering acceleration while still covering massive ranges. And then there's BYD, China's own EV titan. Already neck and neck with Tesla in sales, BYD and CATL have a complicated relationship, part rivalry, part cooperation. If BYD gets early access to Freevoy, the global market could tilt dramatically in China's favor. But the rivalry doesn't end with cars. European automakers like Volkswagen, BMW, and Mercedes are desperate to keep pace. Without access to Freevoy or an equivalent breakthrough, they risk falling behind in a race that will determine the next century of mobility. This is more than corporate competition. It's turning into a geopolitical chess match. Nations are backing their champions. Subsidies are flowing, and alliances are forming around whoever can harness the most advanced battery tech. The question now isn't just who builds the best car. It's who controls the future of energy on wheels. And while CATL has made its boldest move yet with Freevoy, the story is far from over. Because in the shadows, whispers suggest other companies, startups, labs, even defense contractors, are secretly developing their own radical battery concepts that could disrupt the disruptor. Because in every technological revolution, there are always underdogs working in silence, and the battery world is no exception. Across Silicon Valley, whispers circulate about stealth startups claiming breakthroughs in solid-state batteries. Cells that could store more energy, charge faster, and last longer than anything on the market today. Companies like QuantumScape and others backed by billionaires and government funds are racing to bring their prototypes out of the lab and onto the road. In Japan, Toyota continues to quietly push its solid-state research, hinting at production-ready prototypes by the late 2020s. If successful, they could leapfrog Freevoy entirely, offering not just dual power modes, but a fundamental shift in battery chemistry. And then, in the shadows of Europe, labs are experimenting with graphene-based supercapacitors, devices that could one day replace batteries altogether. Imagine charging your car in seconds, not hours. Even the military sector is entering the game. Defense contractors are exploring dual-mode and solid-state systems for drones, submarines, and battlefield vehicles, knowing that in modern warfare, endurance and energy independence can be the deciding factor. All of this creates a tense backdrop for CATL's Freevoy. On the surface, it looks like the ultimate breakthrough. But in the background, challengers are preparing moves that could rewrite the rules once again. And that's what makes this moment so electrifying. We're standing on the edge of a battery renaissance, a race where every company, every lab, and every nation is fighting for dominance. But here's the catch. Not all of these technologies can win. Some will rise, some will collapse, and the ones that succeed will reshape the global economy for decades to come. And as CATL pushes Freevoy toward mass production, the world waits to see. Will it hold its crown, or will a hidden challenger steal the spotlight? Because while the labs and boardrooms battle it out, what really matters is this. When will you and I actually feel the impact of Freevoy? Insiders say CATL is already in talks with multiple automakers to integrate the dual-power battery into upcoming models. Some predict the first Freevoy-equipped vehicles could hit Chinese roads as early as 2026, with global rollout soon after. And if that happens, the driving experience itself could change forever. Imagine pressing the accelerator and instantly unlocking performance mode. Your family SUV suddenly feeling like a sports car. Then, with the tap of a button, switching to endurance mode for a quiet, efficient 600-mile journey without worrying about the next charging stop. Road trips would no longer be about hunting for charging stations every few hours. Daily commutes would consume less power. Ride-sharing fleets, trucks, and buses could operate longer hours with fewer interruptions. And then there's the charging infrastructure. With Freevoy's intelligent power management, cars could adapt charging needs to grid conditions, pulling harder during off-peak hours and conserving during high demand. Some experts believe this could make EVs active partners in stabilizing national power grids. But the biggest shift may be psychological. For years, the two biggest concerns about EVs have been range anxiety and performance limitations. If Freevoy can deliver both endurance and power in a single package, those fears could evaporate overnight. And when that happens, the tipping point for a global EV adoption might finally arrive. Yet, even as this vision comes into focus, challenges remain. Scaling production, ensuring safety, and navigating the politics of energy dependence. Because if CATL controls too much of the global battery supply, Western governments may intervene to protect their own industries, which raises a new and urgent question. Will Freevoy become the battery of the people, or the next front in a global energy Cold War? The Freevoy Dual-Power Battery isn't just another step forward. It's a giant leap in how we think about energy, mobility, and the future of technology. For automakers, it represents freedom. No more compromises between speed and range. For consumers, it promises convenience and confidence. A car that adapts to your needs, whether it's a weekend road trip or a city commute. For nations, it's a new battlefield. The fight to control the most critical technology of the 21st century. And yet, beneath all the technical marvels and industrial rivalries lies something even greater, the possibility of change at a human level. Imagine cities with cleaner air, highways filled with vehicles that no longer depend on oil, an energy system where cars don't just consume power, but help balance it for everyone. That's the world Freevoy hints at. A future where energy is smarter, cleaner, and more accessible than ever before. Of course, the journey won't be simple. Rivals will emerge, industries will resist, and governments will compete for control. But one thing is clear. The Freevoy has set a new standard, and the race to the future just shifted gears. So as the dust settles, one question remains. And that's the story of CATL's Freevoy, the dual-power breakthrough that could redefine the EV race. What do you think? Will this technology dominate the future, or will another challenger rise to steal the crown? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the tech shaping tomorrow.